Black Angus Reviews has made me watch some of the Snyder movies of the DCEU. Oh man, God! My main commentary is like, cut them the fuck down. They, especially Man of Steel, like,
I like Man of Steel.
That's fine, but like, man, the fighting scenes were the most uninteresting things I've ever seen in my life, because there's not even like any real sign of damage or progress, and it's just smacking each other around for like an hour, it feels like. And I'm just like, I've gained nothing the whole time watching that. I'm just like, there could have been more intimate scenes, more something. This could have been far shorter and impactful in some way. I wasn't getting any of whatever was trying to be presented there. And in the go ahead.
Yeah, I get it. I understand where you're coming from. I don't hate the runtime for Man of Steel.
I feel like if you're gonna have a fight scene, like, have meaning with it. I did not get any meaning out of it other than they're punching each other a bunch, and just that's what was felt more empty with it.
Well, I
mean, and then like in the Snyder cut of Justice League, like I felt like they put scenes that were cut that were useless into the film, and I'm just like, well, why'd you do that? You just,
I mean, I'll be honest.
For reasons, like, what?
Yeah, I mean,
what was that?
as much as I do love the Snyder cut for what it was, you could make an argument. You could have cut some things out. I've heard the argument of people saying, "Oh, if he got rid of the slow motion, it would have been a lot shorter." Listen, I don't think those scenes would have worked as well if it was just normal speed.
It depends. It depends on the use of slow motion. On the scene where like he's opening a car door or something and it's like there was nothing gained with that. During the crash with the Flash and stuff, like the whole scene was like, nothing burger.
This is how I look at it, and maybe some people disagree with me, but I kind of look at how he does slow motion as like they're like live action motion comics. Like, those motion comic like films that you'll see where it's like an animation, like it's like a drawing of a comic book character and it's like in motion, like done in
I don't know if I saw any of those. I don't know.
I'll show you what I mean by that. I feel like that's what the slow motion is sort of like. It's like
maybe, but it's one of those things, kind of like with doing certain scenes too much, like adding more and then it loses its substance. That's kind of what I felt with the amount of slow motion not being applied to things that would enhance anything. Sometimes it's like the sesame seed is just as much as like an important slow motion shot. Like, I don't know, those. If you're gonna drop one, like, just I don't know. There's just a lot that didn't need to be in there, and there's like scenes where they're walking up in the other version. The Joss version wasn't good either, but like they cut scenes of them walking, and then in the Snyder cut, there's like scenes of them just like walking upstairs. There's no dialogue really. It's just like, what? Why is this here? Just it doesn't have anything.
You mean the scene with like the metal soundtrack and they're all
kind of. It's like, yeah, we're walking upstairs, bro. It's just like, okay. I mean, all right.
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw that, I was at a friend's house, and I literally like told him, I'm like, okay, dude, I want to watch this movie on your 4K TV once this comes out. We're gonna order Domino's pizza and all this shit.
Have a blast, yeah.
We'll have a blast. And like once that scene came up where like there were like, well, like Batman shows up and then they walk up, I was like jamming to the actual like music playing. It was like fucking metal as shit, and I loved it. So that I think that's what really helped. It was the music. If the music wasn't there, it probably wouldn't be as great, obviously. But like I think that's why, like, when you get a good composer, it really helps the music. Like John Carpenter's Halloween, the first Halloween movie. He premiered it. He like showed it off to some people, and it didn't get the greatest reaction because it didn't scare anyone. You want to know why?
Why?
There was no music. There was no music in the movie, so John Carpenter scored the music, and his the music that he wrote, that he cooked, like the formula he used to make the Halloween theme, the Halloween score, like that is like half of the movie is the score, even more than half, if you could even say. And that's what makes that movie so scary. And then they showed it off to other theaters and all that stuff, and that's why that movie is so fucking great, is because of the score, and that's what made it so iconic and scary.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for certain movies, it's like, that's why a score is really important, because it really does show emotion within the audience. It creates a bigger impact. So that's what kind of worked for me about the whole Snyder Cut thing. I thought the score was really cool. I thought it was fucking like rock and metal type feel.
Yeah, see, the problem that I have with it though is that they don't seem to use them in the right places to me. Like, in the Joss version, as bad as that one is, like with Aquaman, he had more of kind of like a, better tune to him. And then in the Snyder one, it's like soft, like it's no different than a lot of the other ones that he did. It's kind of like, I don't like that really. It doesn't fit him at all. His look, his swag. What? And then like,
that was a weird.
Every time Wonder Woman's on screen, it's like God, that messes with my head, because I don't think I've ever seen something that jarring with the soundtrack. But it's like and like the scene, like they walk with the archer to fire the thing. It's like in the other version, it's just all right, cut, done. This was like, let's set it on fire. Let's walk to the thing. Let's go over. It's like, this isn't accomplishing anything. It's just walking around and not even talking and learning anything. We're just watching them do nothing important.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
And speaking of Zack Snyder, and I think I don't know what your take is on this, but before I get to my other take, you do agree, like, objectively, that the Snyder Cut is a better made movie than the Joss Whedon version, right? You don't have to like it. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna ask.
To be honest, I'd have to watch both versions pretty, like back to back or something to really give an answer, because I think both are bad. I think that
you can think they're bad, but like
I think that story wise, the Joss version's better, but I guess visually, the Snyder Cut feels more like something. But I don't even know if that's fair to compare it like that either, because Snyder, he had as much time as he needed to make his cut, compared to Joss, who is brought into a project that isn't his. He has restrictions already with what's filmed, with what the studio wants, with there's a lot to try to accomplish in a shorter amount of time that isn't even with his idea and concept anyway. And Snyder's doing what he wants to do, and so he's got all this stuff anyway. So it just, I don't know. And then I feel like there's so many scenes that were uselessly added. I would say the Joss version is just better because it's shorter, at least, because I don't like either of them. So at least that one's over faster. Like,
I can't stand it, because honestly, like, it just, I think the way he like portrays most of those characters are just utter just garbage. Like the way like Batman is portrayed in it fucking sickens me to death. So maybe that's where I'm coming from with it. Like Joss Whedon like made Batman into like Iron Man, essentially.
I mean, the worst part of it, I think, was the what are they called? The demons, the demons. In the beginning with like, oh, this blood reveals the box or some bullshit. That was retarded. And then what was the other part? That there's a couple things that were like, why'd you add this a little? That was kind of dumb.
I mean, but I understand all that, and I can see why you wouldn't. Like
the mustache was also dumb. The Henry Cavill reshoot mustache thing, that was retarded.
I mean that was bad. that was bad, but like,
what would be wrong if he had a mustache? Like I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's a lot I could pick on.
Because to me, like when you say that with Batman, I'm like, well, yeah, but then I don't know how he's portrayed in the Snyder cut is not like great either to me. Like I don't know.
I disagree. I thought it was great. Like that was to me that was like great. I thought the way like Zack Snyder to me understood Batman like 10 times better than Joss Whedon.
Maybe, but you see, I'm not coming from it from knowing Batman specifically, his
That's
character,
fine.
his comic
That's
roots.
fine.
I don't know. So that's what I'm saying.
That's
where
fine.
my perspective
That's
comes from is that
that's fine.
I with any of the comic stuff, I don't know shit. So it's like
Yeah.
I only have the films to compare stuff, and as far as Batman goes, there's like been so many movies about him. Like I can't tell you what he really is, other than he's supposed to be intimidating to criminals. Like,
honestly, another comparison I'd make between the Snyder cut and the Joss Whedon cut is Snyder made Cyborg into a really like important puzzle to the plot compared to what Joss Whedon did. He just sidelined him. And when you watch the Whedon cut, you're like, why the fuck is he even in this movie?
Yeah, but I feel like Snyder did the other thing where he made him too important in the Snyder one.
No, I thought it was
opposite. I think that both were bad with it, and I think a more middle ground might have been different because
I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine considering, and I understand where you come from because maybe you're not into DC.
Like I've seen the Justice League animated series. That's probably the most I've seen. I've seen Batman with the Ninja Turtles. I've seen some of the Batman films. But
listen, but I think the reason why it's quote unquote from you too important is because like Cyborg, like the whole point of that character and how he becomes Cyborg is because of the mother boxes, which is what Darkseid wants. So him being super important actually makes sense to me personally, because that's just the character.
That's fine.
So making him not important would make no sense, but that's just me.
To present them as these like godly people, which I guess it's presented as hammering it in a little much, not very subtle with it.
Yeah, and you know,
it comes off as awkward. I mean, do I have to say the women singing with his Aquaman's T-shirt, and we're there for like 3 minutes?
That was my lead.
It's just like, why is it? Why are we still here? I know, but oh listen, my
God. I'm glad you brought that up because that is my least favorite part of that movie. Is literally the whole singing bit. I'm like, you could cut that out.
It's like if they were like fondling him a little, like, oh, you're good, just anything. I don't know, or just a subtle. She picks up the thing, hugs it. I don't know. You don't need. We get it enough. From that. The scene already tells us enough there. Because like singing just made my ears go. What are we doing? We're still here.
Like the times I have rewatched the Snyder cut. I'm not gonna lie, that's the one part where I'm like, Jesus Christ, that is the worst part of that movie. Why did Snyder leave that in there? And I'm a Zack Snyder fan for the most part. I love 300. I love Watchmen. I love his Dawn of the Dead remake. Watchmen, his director's cut. I've only seen the director's cut, but that's only because I've heard like people say like that's like the cut to start off with if you haven't seen any of the cuts, and I own the ultimate cut on 4K. I plan to watch it, and that's like a lot more like the graphic novel. So right there, I think shows like even with a bigger runtime, it's better because of the actual like source material. And I think I don't care what anyone says, his Watchmen is fucking incredible. Like it's great. It's probably one of the most underrated comic book movies of all time, I'd say. And 300's good too. And that was another comic book adaptation, but that was a shorter story written by Frank Miller.
Yeah.
And his Dawn of the Dead's really good if you haven't seen it. You
I've seen for Snyder. I've seen Dawn of the Dead, 300, and now the Snyder stuff from DCEU.
Yeah. His earlier movies are probably his best that you're gonna get from him.
Mm-hmm.
I would say. And even some of his more recent stuff I like. Army of the Dead I didn't care for all that much, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I didn't try that one out.
Yeah, I remember kind of enjoying it at first because I actually saw it in a theater near me. Like Netflix did this thing where they just like premiered it in like some theaters like before it was like released on Netflix. And I'm like, oh, I had fun with this. And then I like rewatch it at home on Netflix and I like
Never mind.
I turned it off after 20 minutes. I'm like,
yeah.
Jesus, why did I like this movie? Like this movie's not that great.
Yeah.
Like visually it looks amazing, but like I just didn't care for it for some reason.
Yeah.
Like it just did nothing for me. I mean, I was looking forward to Rebel Moon from him, like his upcoming movie, but he sort of like pandered a little bit of recent, like Bounty in a Comics wrote an article saying like he points out about a non-binary character in his movie, and I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit what someone's sexuality is.
Did he market the Justice League with having an African American at Cyborg?
No, I that was just what the title said of the article.
And I'm imagining that he never like marketed that way or described it.
No, it's like he's never
describing it as Cyborg as a character, and he's in the movie and he does these things. Like,
yeah,
I imagine it's how he talked about it.
Because it's weird, like it felt like he was like I felt like Snyder back in the day was like an outsider to Hollywood, but like of recent, if I feel like he's like gotten more towards like to Hollywood, to where he's like gotten slightly more woke.
That's what happens sometimes. Keep your status. You gotta
honestly that shit's kind of disappointing as a fan. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like when I heard that shit that he said recently, I'm like, God damn it. He even said something about what was it, Army of the Dead in the beginning. Like they close a wall, and he said that that was a anti-border message. And I'm like, dude, I did not think about that one bit until you said that.
I feel like at that point he's just doing that because his people told him if you say that, then they'll like that a lot more. So he's like okay.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't say that he probably believes it. You know, from what I could tell.
No. Yeah. I feel like he's just saying that shit just because some people have to say that shit. I mean,
because he also represents more than just himself, I assume. So it's like, you know, I mean, he's got other people to consider if there's whatever deals that are relying on it. And if it's important that you say this thing or whatever, then maybe you say it. Yeah.
I mean, plus he's working for Netflix and they're fucking pieces of shit. So